right, Alex Brasky here with Marci Redband, former illustrious player at Elba High School, former 1,000 point scorer, went on to play at Hilbert College, now coaching the Elba Modified Girls, also spent time with her husband Tom coaching the Elba Varsity Girls, who won 4 straight sectional titles. Did I get that number right? Is it 4 or is it 5? I have trouble keeping track.
It's actually 5, but
Oh, my goodness. Yeah,
that's
so
all right.
quite the successful track record for Marci. We're glad that she's able to join us to discuss the upcoming Section 5 girls basketball tournament. We'll hop right into it. We're discussing the small school brackets, beginning with Class B1. And in Class B1, a perennial contender, Waterloo, sits atop that bracket. They've really rolled through the competition this year. Only 1 loss on the season, but nipping at their heels, number 3 Livonia, led by Kylie Buckley, one of the top players in Section 5, averaging 25 points per game. So what's your outlook of this bracket? You obviously have Waterloo, then Palmac number 2, and then Livonia, who's played a very tough non-league schedule, coming in at number 3.
Yeah, I think it'll be Waterloo either facing Palmac or Livonia in the finals. Palmac has a win over Waterloo as of late, so I think the bracket is open. Waterloo is the team to beat, but Palmac has proven that they can be beaten. Livonia should be very excited about the possibility of making it all the way. Kylie Buckley provides a lot of veteran leadership, and she has a great supporting cast. Their non-league schedule was tough this year with wins over Sutherland, Mercy, and Victor. So I'd expect a nice competitive sectional tournament for Class B1.
And as you know, coaching experience is at a premium come sectional time. You really want to have that coaching experience, and Coach Karen Schuster out there has plenty of coaching experience, and she has another quality team at her disposal. We'll move right along to Class B2. The top dog in Class B2 is Dansville. Now, they had an up and down campaign, but they come out as the number 1 seed, and that's no mystery to them, as they've dealt with plenty of success over the years. They've won sectional titles, so coming in as a top seed is not unfamiliar territory for this Mustangs team, although they did suffer some tough defeats during the regular season. So this may not be the dominant Dansville team that we've seen in the past, but they did manage that top seed. And then beneath them, you have number 2 Minders, and also a very talented number 3 Hornell team. Jordan Dyring, coach's daughter. We all know how that plays into things. She's had quite the year, only a sophomore, I believe, leading the way in terms of scoring for that team. So how do you see Class B2 shaking out with Dansville, the lead dog in this bracket, but Hornell has split with them this season, if I'm not mistaken?
Yeah, I definitely think you'll see those 2 teams making a run, if not meeting in the end. Both can score a ton of points, and I think it'll come down to, honestly, who can score more on the big stage. Both teams have seen 60, 70, even 80-point nights, and that's pretty impressive for the current girls basketball talent right now in the area. You don't see many 80-point nights. So yeah, I definitely think Dansville and Hornell are the 2 top teams in that bracket.
Yeah, you don't see 70, 80 points from boys teams either nowadays.
No.
Usually high school basketball you see fluctuate in between the 40s and the 60s, and these teams being able to pour it in like they have all season long has been very impressive. Ainsley Belcher and Chelsea Tyler, the 2 leaders for Dansville, they give a nice inside-out presence with Tyler on the perimeter and Belcher on the inside. And Aaron Belden has done a nice job since taking over that program as the head coach. So Dansville, the lead dog, Hornell behind them in Class B2, but plenty of other teams could make a run. You have Wellsville with championship pedigree, Minders, like I said, the number 2 seed, and Bath Haverling with Meredith, I'm going to get his name wrong, Chakowski, excuse me. She's a 1,000 point scorer and a dual sport athlete, so plenty of athleticism on Haverling as well. This could be an interesting bracket to watch. I think there's plenty of competitive games to be had in Class B2. But moving right along to Class C1, you have top seed Canisteo Greenwood, unbeaten this season at 20-0, but you have a couple of local teams involved, including You have Geneseo number 4, really a resurgent season for that program. They experienced plenty of success a few years ago. Took a little bit of a dip, but have since reached the top 5 within their classification entering this season. Also, Avon, one of the most talented players in the area, in Serena McDowell, a 1,000 girl, 1,000 points, 1,000 rebounds. She's dealt with some injuries, but she's back for her senior year. Could you give your outlook on Class C1, which also has Oakfield, Alabama involved, which has a championship pedigree and a longtime head coach, Jeff Schlagenoff, at the helm, and they're always going to be a tough out come sectional time.
Yeah, I would say I'm most excited actually about the C1 bracket. There are 11 teams with winning records, and your 11th seed is, I believe, 15-5. So that first round, they're going to be competitive games. There will be upsets. You might see a lower seed sneak by. And then your 12th seed is Pembroke, who's been playing, competitively as of late. I definitely think that there are some top players in C1. Geneseo Greenwood, that they have a great core group there. Coach Les York has always, he's always gotten his girls to follow a scouting report, buy in. They're just great skilled players out there. And then Oakfield and Alexander, they always produce just quality teams that are competitive in Section 5. Alexander, I think, they could have a great run. Alyssa Kramer is, averaging over 16 points per game. She's had multiple 30-point games this season. She can do it all. She's a leader on that court, and I think that they will be a scary team to meet for anybody in C1. On top of that, you'd mentioned Geneseo and Avon as a 9 seed, which is, again, it's just amazing, how this bracket has played out. Avon has a tough first-round game in East Rochester, but Serena McDowell's veteran experience that could play a big role in a good run for Avon. So yeah, back to what I said at the start, I think this will be a fun bracket to watch this postseason.
And you'll have a good look at those Alexander girls coming up on the Batavia Daily News YouTube channel on Wednesday night when they take on Pembroke at Alexander. It should be a good game between 2 league rivals. But moving right along to Class C2, only 2 Class Cs in the girls. There's 3 Class Cs in the boys, 2 Class Cs in the girls. So like you said, it makes for a crowded bracket, but increases the excitement for the viewers like us. And in C2, you have Lions, who is as talented as they come, leading the way. I saw them play against Byron Burgeon this year. They're a young team, but they have athleticism. They're coached by a Section 5 legend in Calvin Betts, 1,000-point scorer, and he went on to do great things at the collegiate level. He's since come back and putting in great service coaching and providing his wisdom for some young athletes on the girls' side of things. But you also have Perry mixed in there. You have Cal Mum with Hazel Nickerson and Ava Amories. But Batavia Notre Dame and Pavilion, I think, are the 2 teams to watch from our area within this bracket. Pavilion with Lauren Kingsley and Carly Zinkovich, and Batavia Notre Dame with Emma Sisson, Amelia McCulley, and Evelyn Tomedy. Just there's so much talent within Class C2. I think Class C1, there's a lot more parity, but the overflowing talent within Class C2 is something to watch.
Yeah, I would agree. You can't deny Amelia McCulley's talent. She's a leader. She's a leader on the court. She's a leader, amongst the underclassmen on her team. She's really had to grow in that area, and I think she has. And then, her counterparts with Evelyn Tomedy and Emma Sisson, you can't ask for better teammates than those 2. Tom McCauley's done a great job with his groups over the years, and there's no doubt that his team will be prepared. Another Section 5 legend coaching at the helm, 1,000-point scorer for Notre Dame, a state champion. So if him and Betts are to meet in the sectional final, what a coaching matchup! Oh my, yeah, that would be a great final. And then you throw in Pavilion with Kingsley and Zankovich. Coach Schweinenbraten has always had his girls prepared, and they clearly run a great program with following a scouting report and knowing who their opponents are. There's no doubt that Pavilion Notre Dame matchup in the semifinals is definitely possible. Cal Mom could, make some noise in there too, and I have no doubts in Coach Reed and his girls. Hazel Nickerson is a great player. She has proven that she can play with the big dogs, and I'm kind of excited to see where that all plays out with where Cal Mom falls. Byron Burgeon is the sixth seed.
Right.
There's
I failed to mention Byron Burgeon. I saw them play against Lions, and they battled them for a half. They withered away down the stretch, but they played some good games this year.
They have, and I think when they have multiple girls in double digit figures, they're a hard team to beat. Right now, at least according to the Section 5 website stats, right now they actually don't have anybody averaging double figures.
Right.
But when you look at their box scores in big wins, they have multiple girls putting up good numbers, and I think that'll be a key for them. Can they have multiple players scoring in double digit figures? Can they shoot from the outside? Can they make their free throws? All of those things will matter. That's how they beat Elba. That's how they beat Notre Dame. And if they can do those things, I think they could possibly create a shakeup in the bracket.
Yeah, Class C is really something to watch this year. There's a lot of shaking that could go on over the next few weeks with the talent spread out amongst those two individual brackets. But moving along to Class D1, Keshequa, what a surprise coming in at the top seed. Pete Pereno, a longtime head coach within Section 5. He's one of the wins leaders within Section 5, if not the active girls wins leader within Section 5. And he has his team clicking on all cylinders once again this season. And it really looks like Lindenville could have a chance from the Genesee region, coming in at the number 3 seed. The two Dillenbeck girls do a nice job, both averaging in double figures, and they're a well-coached bunch. And could we see a Keshequa-Lindenville final with Fillmore and Genesee Valley Belfast as the 2 and 4 respectively within this bracket?
I think so. Keshequa, I would say, is the team to beat in Class D1. You have Braylon Eastman. I'm not sure if I got her last name correct, but 8th grade guard averaging over 10 points per game. And then Livy Benner, junior guard, averaging over 14 points per game. Guard play is key in a good, strong, solid basketball team to make a run. You need good guards, and Keshequa has good guards. They can defend. They've played with some of the bigger perennial powerhouse Livingston County teams this season, and they'll, like you said, they'll either face Genesee Belfast or Avoca Prattsburgh, most likely. Avoca Prattsburgh has some good girls basketball history, so I think that semifinal matchup could go either way. I think their semifinal opponent could be either team. And then Lindenville, Lindenville's they're a fun team. They're fast. They're high flying. They shoot a lot of threes. They slash to the basket. The Dillenbeck girls are strong guards, and they can
shoot. A strong
shoot.
name there in Lindenville, Dillenbeck.
Yeah.
A lot of weight. Nate Dillenbeck just graduated the 1,000-point score on the boys' side, and now his 2 sisters doing work.
Yes, and they both play tough. They came to our girls basketball camp this summer, and I actually played with them, and they were hard to play against. Very strong, talented girls. Both of them have very high IQs, and they're looking for each other on the court, and they also have a good supporting cast. You'll look to see the offense mostly run through those 2 Dillenbeck girls, though. Their quarterfinal matchup, it's interesting. They're facing South Seneca, who has some strong girls basketball history. They're 11-9. So it could be a tough first round game for them, but I think that's important to not always have a cakewalk through sectionals. You want those competitive games. You want your teams to be ready right away. Um, I I also think that Fillmore, they're a tough team in this Class D1 bracket. It's not going to be easy for Keshqua or Lindenville to lift that block up. Fillmore has strong girls basketball history. Coach Tom Parks runs a great team. All of those girls are, multi-sport athletes out there. They follow the scouting report. And I keep saying that, but it's definitely important in girls basketball. Can you follow and execute a scouting report? Can you shut down, top players? And I think D1, those top 4 teams they're good teams. So it'll be exciting to watch.
See a lot of these same teams pop up year after year, especially at the Class D level, where it's a little bit less of a talent pool. There's not as many teams. So a lot of these teams repeat their success for years after years after years. You have 8th graders contributing, you have 9th graders contributing. So a lot of these teams we've heard from in past years, and it should be another great Class D1 tournament. And the same can be said for Class D2. Andover Whitesville has been near the top of Class D2. They sit atop this bracket once again this season, and you're no stranger to the Elba Lancers. They're not near the top this year as they endured a almost impossible non-league schedule, going to that Livonia tournament, taking on Marci and who was the other team they played in that tournament?
They played Waterloo.
So they played Waterloo and Marci in that tournament, and that just goes to show you, Charlie Pangrazio, I joked with him earlier this season. I said, you might have to get your head examined after that non-league schedule, but he's been around a while. He knows what he's doing. He was on the bench for all those championships with you and Tom. So he knows the tenor of his girls, and he wanted them to be battle-tested going into this tournament. They're 10-10, not a great record, 6th seed entering this tournament, but for my money, I think they're almost a shoo-in to make at least the semifinal, perhaps even the final, with the talent they have at hand. Sydney Riley, I think 17 points per game. Maddie Hall does a nice job amongst a host of other talented players. And Pangrazio, not experienced at the head coaching level quite yet in basketball, but he's been around forever and he's seen it all. He
has. Like you said, he was on our bench for years, and he was a part of the girls basketball program before us Redbands were there. He has a great group of girls, and they have had some highs and lows throughout the season. But I think overall, skill-wise, they individually all possess some of the highest skill level in Class D, D1 or D2. It's just a matter of piecing all of that together. And can we have multiple girls contribute in the box score at the end of the night? I was looking at some of their box scores and their quality wins. They have multi-scoring double-digit players in those games. When they don't, they're not successful. So that will be key for them, is getting, more. Sydney Riley needs a little more help. She needs a few more girls to get involved and put up some numbers. But I definitely agree with you. They have a great path to the finals. North Star lost a game late, so that kind of shook up the bracket, where Andover Whitesville took the top seed. So I definitely think that those two teams could potentially make it to the finals, with Elba versus Andover Whitesville. A classic Class D girls Section 5 matchup. It's what we're all hoping for sure.
I'm hoping for a classic tournament. I'm expecting a classic tournament. There's so much talent throughout Section 5. After the COVID-19 pandemic has come and gone, we've seen a resurgence with a lot of these teams as they get back together with their teammates throughout the offseason and build those relationships and develop their skills as well. And it's led to some quality play on the hardwood this season. But Marci Redband, we haven't seen you on the bench at the varsity level the past couple of years, but it's great to see you here. Great to see you still following along and breaking things down for us here on the Batavia Daily News Sports Network. But we'd like to thank Marci for joining us. We'd like to thank you for joining us, and we'll see you all on the court soon.